All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are now going to discuss Russell Wilson and some of his recent comments, talking about the desire to win at least two more Super Bowls. He did talk about how he wants to stay in Denver or play for a team that wants him to be their starter. He wants to be a starter. That's the bottom line. He wants to be a starter. He talked about his burning desire to win another Lombardi Trophy, stating he has more fire than ever, particularly after the challenges he's faced in the past 2 years. He did talk about his preference of staying with the Broncos to finish his career, citing his commitment to the team and his desire to win. Past 2 years have been difficult for him and the Broncos, with a combined record of 13-21 under two different head coaches, and Wilson being benched for the last two games of the 2023 season. Winning and returning to a Super Bowl winning and returning to Super Bowl contention are top priorities for Russell Wilson, who has previously won one Super Bowl and appeared in two with the Seahawks. Despite his love for the city of Denver, Wilson also stresses the importance of being in a place where he is wanted and can contribute to winning. But yeah, so he wants to finish his career in Denver, although it's just like, I mean, you don't even know. You see like, oh, he's most likely going to be released, then you hear like Sean Payton's comments, and it's just, while he's still on the team, and it's a lot of just it's very unclear right now as to what is going to happen. I think he ends up going somewhere else. I think ultimately, he's going to end up going to a different team. Now, who is that team going to be? Now, the big thing here is he wants to win two more Super Bowls. And is it possible? I mean, listen, as Kevin Garnett once said, anything is possible. This, though, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Because now, right now, he spent the last 2 years playing in the AFC. And you see, the quarterbacks that are now coming in with, guys I just talked about, C.J. Stroud now, and Anthony Richardson obviously got hurt, but another guy that was playing really well and then got hurt, of course. And then already with what we've already, you got Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes in the Broncos division, and now Jim Harbaugh is there with the Chargers. You got Burrow, you got Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. There's all these quarterbacks out there, and that just makes the path to the Super Bowl very difficult. So you got that. Then winning the Super Bowl. Right now, if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm trying to go to a team that's in the NFC, because the NFC is the weaker conference. And it's look, you got the 49ers, they're still going to be there, and Russell Wilson knows that team very well. It seemed like, Russ's last couple of years again, playing against the 49ers, Russ played well. And even with the 49ers going to championship games and the Super Bowl, Russ played well against those 49ers teams. But this is back when he played with Seattle. It's different now. He's coming off of 2 years where it hasn't been great. It hasn't been great. That's the other thing too, is Russ's level of play has definitely declined since he left Seattle. And is it on Russ? Is it on the team? It's definitely a combination. Listen, I thought when he went to Denver, I thought that was going to pan out immediately. They were going to have success and make the playoffs. But yeah, myself and many other people were wrong, because Nathaniel Hackett, he was in over his head with the Broncos being the head coach, and he ended up getting let go, in the middle of the season. And then, they bring in Sean Payton. And listen, the Broncos played better. I know they did give up 70 points against the Dolphins, but after that game, they started to play better. At one point, again, they went on that winning streak, and you thought, okay, maybe, they turned the corner. Maybe they could sneak into the playoffs. They had that big win against the Bills in Buffalo, although they were helped out a little bit towards the end with the penalty that, allowed them to re-kick the field goal, and they ended up winning that game. But it kind of fell apart then at the end, and they ended up not making the playoffs. They finished 8-9. Russ got benched. Again, you saw Sean Payton yelling at him on the sidelines against the Lions, when the Lions, blew them out. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, Russ probably is going to end up somewhere else, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it is going to be, it's really tough to win one. I mean, the last time Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl, I was in middle school. And, you see some of these guys like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, and you think, oh, man, they're going to win multiple Super Bowls. And Peyton Manning for a while had one. And, Brees and Rodgers, they both, Brees retired. Rodgers hopefully is going to, play again next year. Well, he is going to play next year, and we'll see, if he is able to bounce back, which I hope he does. But that's a separate topic for another day. But yeah, a lot of these guys, it's tough to win one. I mean, look at Dan Marino. Dan Marino has none. He has nothing. He has no Super Bowls. Well, I shouldn't say he has nothing, but he has no Super Bowls. And listen, Seattle, they were close to being a dynasty, and well, because if they win that Super Bowl against the Patriots, I mean, who knows what ends up happening, and maybe they end up, because. I mean, after that, the team just unraveled after that. So if that ends up not happening and they end up winning that Super Bowl, I mean, who knows? Maybe they go on and they become a dynasty. But it just that ended up not happening, and they didn't get back to the Super Bowl. They didn't get back to a championship game either. I mean, Seattle has been a team that's made the playoffs. Well, did make the playoffs a lot with Russell Wilson, but they just. They couldn't get past the divisional round. They lost to the Falcons in the divisional round. They lost to the Panthers, the Cowboys in the first round, I know in 2018, the Rams. Yeah, it's just they could not get past the second round. And then ultimately Russ gets hurt his final year as the starting quarterback of the Seahawks, and then he's on the Broncos. And they haven't made the playoffs. And Russ is getting older. He was on that trajectory to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Now all of a sudden, there's some conversations of whether he is a Hall of Famer or not. Now if he gets another shot somewhere else, and somehow he turns back the clock and is the Russell Wilson he was with Seattle, then then the conversation can be revisited. But I mean, it's a conversation that's still going to be had. But, if he ends up playing well somewhere else, then we get back to, okay, you know what, maybe he is a Hall of Famer. I mean, I think you could still you could make the case either way. But, yeah, the 2 years in Denver has definitely left a bad taste in a lot of people. So... Again, this is, another storyline to keep an eye on for the offseason, where he ends up. So, we'll just have to wait and see. But, I mean, 2 more Super Bowls. I mean, and you see what the Chiefs are doing every year. Yeah, it's just, I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, you got to end up in a really good situation. And I think, you want to look on the NFC. The NFC is where you'd probably go because that's an easier pathway to, maybe get there. But again, it's not easy to get to a Super Bowl. But again, compare the NFC to the AFC. I mean, the AFC is a gauntlet. The NFC just, again, like a lot of guys have retired. Breeze and, now Rodgers is in the AFC. You got the 49ers there. I mean, you got Matthew Stafford and the Rams. The Lions now are a very good team. You still, I mean, the NFC East, I mean, the top 2 teams kind of, the Cowboys fell apart in one game. Eagles, they finished, I don't know what happened to them. They collapsed. But, yeah, and again, if Russ goes to a team in the NFC, let's say, and he plays like the Russell Wilson from the Seattle days, then, yeah, maybe you got a good shot. But it's just, you haven't been back there in so long. It's just, and on top of that, the last 2 years that you've played, I mean, the first year wasn't great. Second year, 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, not bad. But, again, it's just it's going to be very hard to do that, and I don't see it. I don't see it. But who knows? Who knows? Crazier things have happened. But he talks about he's still got that passion. He's motivated. So I mean, listen, a lot of guys can say that, and it doesn't really amount to anything. But who knows? Um, again, he's got to end up in the right situation. So we'll keep an eye on it. But I just thought that was interesting. And again, I mean, looked like he was gonna, with that Seattle team, they were close to repeating, ended up not happening, and they ended up not getting close after that. And again, a lot of these guys, they win their first championship, and you're like, oh yeah, they're gonna win multiple rings. And I said Peyton Manning as well. I mean, look at Peyton. I mean, it looked like he was gonna retire without another ring, and then with the Broncos, who Russ ended up beating, the first time the Broncos made it to the Super Bowl with Peyton. And that was when Peyton had that 55 touchdown season. It was unbelievable. The Broncos offense was incredible. And the Legion of Boom shut them down. But then, when the Broncos had no fly zone, the defense carried Peyton to that Super Bowl. Despite Peyton playing, pretty bad. 9 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. But he got his second ring. It's hard. It's really hard. I mean, again, the Chiefs are making it look easy right now, but again, that's just a unique situation. We don't really see that very often. We've only seen it really, but now the Chiefs and of course, the two separate dynasties with the Patriots. So again, Russ has got to end up in a good situation for that to be possible, and he also has to play better. Which, again, the last couple of years, and he's getting older too. I'm not so sure about that. So again, let me know what you guys think about this topic. Do you see Russell Wilson maybe going to a team and winning 2 more Super Bowls? I mean, I think the majority of people are going to say no, which I'm of that majority. But I don't know. Maybe one of you guys out there think, hey, yeah, he could win 2 more Super Bowls. So let me know what you guys think about that. But yeah, so that is all the time that we have for today. I thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, until then, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day. And like I said, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.